I want to ask you, what is the significance of a man being emotionally attached? Like, why do we need to know this?
It's really boring if a man's just physically attached. Like, okay, cool. He wants to sleep with you. For the most part, men want to sleep with everything. So not that great. But he's actually emotionally attached. He's thinking about commitment. He's thinking about a future with you. And I thought some of these things, some of them are subtle that you might not have thought about. So I built this so that there's no confusion. You know if the guy is into you, as opposed to guessing and being confused. And I hate when women out there are confused because men can be confusing, and I want to demystify them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the key here is that a man can be physically attracted to you, sexually attracted to you, and connected with you physically without necessarily being connected emotionally. But in order for a relationship to have the foundation underneath it to kind of support a more significant relationship, he also needs to have an emotional attachment to a woman. And so you're going to share with us some ways that we can know if a man has an emotional attachment or the things that he might say.
Yes.
All right, well, let's jump in then.
He says, Michelle, I would like to see you more. Now, this is actually really important. Think about, let me explain the friends with benefits guy. He strategically, and he's thought about this, he's joked about it with his friends, and they've come up with a strategy. And the strategy is see the woman once a week, never more. And maybe you've seen it in movies. But now men are really executing on that. If they are not serious about you and just want that physical connection with you, they purposely see you once a week in hopes of keeping your emotions at bay. They think that's going to do that. And they selfishly build this game plan so that they can have sex with you and hopefully have this last as long as you will allow it. Does that make sense, Michelle?
Yeah, so they're kind of stringing you along, giving you just kind of enough to hang on to think that it might turn into something more. Sometimes we call this breadcrumbing. Yes. And so a woman is emotionally attached because usually when a woman is physical or intimate with a man, she's also developing an emotional connection, but he might not be. And so he's stringing her along and he's just enjoying the benefits of that relationship without really having any real plans for it to turn into something more significant in terms of a relationship. While on the opposite side, often the woman is thinking, oh, this is really going to go somewhere at some point.
Yeah. And just to come on the other side of this, when he says, I'd like to see you more, that's because he actually wants to get to know you more. If he can get to you 2-3+ times a week, he can start asking questions about who your friends are, who your family is, how'd you grow up, what are your likes, what are your dislikes. And so that's when he starts asking all these questions, wanting to see you, that's him putting a genuine interest in getting to know you. Versus if he just wants to explore you physically, his questions are going to be more about your body and how you like sex versus how you really are and how you feel and what your likes and dislikes are. Right, Michelle?
Yeah, he's going to be more interested in the whole person, who you really are, what more about your feelings, your interests, your likes, your passions, things that are important to you, your hopes and dreams, your family, and those kinds of things. He's going to be investing more. He's going to be more intentional and more consistent in the way that he shows up.
Yep. The guy who doesn't care about you, he doesn't care if you're having fun. The guy who's really emotionally invested in you really wants to know if you're enjoying whatever you're doing. If you're going paddle boarding, if you're on a walk, if you're in a nice park, if you have sex, if you do anything, are you having fun? How is this making you feel? Does that make sense, Michelle?
It does. He's going to have more of a concern for what you enjoy, what makes you happy. He's going to want to create enjoyable, memorable kinds of experiences for you. So he's going to be putting more effort into it. I also think going along with this one, Mike, I think he also, when conditions permit, would be more likely to spend time with you more out in public or be introducing you to family and friends or treating you more like you're a girlfriend instead of just, if you're just going to his house or he's just coming to your place and you're just having sex, people in the outside world could not even know that anything was even going on between the two of you.
Yeah, that makes me laugh. I have this one friend. So I live by the beach, and there's this in our beach town. There's literally like one, the boardwalk, and then one Pier Ave where like everyone hangs out, where everyone would be. It's a small town, and the women that he was like hooking up with, or the woman, he would never take her there and never hold her hand because he didn't want the people in the town to realize that like he was seeing this person, because he wasn't serious about her. So like if a man wants to take you, downtown, like that country music song, and hold your hand and make you feel special, that's because he's proud to be seen with you and excited to be next to you, versus my silly friend who is not so excited to be around the woman he is seeing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think he's more likely to be planning things like romantic dates for you. He's more likely to be listening to things that you say or things that you share, and maybe planning things around some of your interests. He's going to be putting more effort into it. And so, yeah, he wants you to have fun. He wants you to have an enjoyable experience, and he would be willing to put the effort in to provide that for you. Whereas on the other side, if he's not really emotionally attached or not really looking for a more meaningful or significant relationship with you, he's just going to kind of enjoy what he can get. It's more about him, what he can get, than it is about you. So this kind of flips that switch where he is caring about you. He's showing care for you.
I love that statement you said. You said it's about what he can get for himself instead of what he can give to her. That's so powerful. That idea is kind of the overarching principle of this whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful. Listen to this guy. So one of my clients started seeing this guy. They're probably at like fourth, fifth date. It was fifth date, excuse me. And he, COVID times, he's at her house. I don't believe they've even slept with each other yet. And he's walking around and he sees that she has a Peloton. And then he's looking at the Peloton and there's some screws on the ground, like 3 screws. And he goes to her. He goes, "Karen, what are these screws?" She's like, "Well, I don't know." He's like, "Oh, no. You ride this thing?" She goes, "Yeah, I ride it like every day." He's like, "What if you fell off and you got hurt? Like, I can't let you get hurt. I care so much about you." She's like, "I'm sure it's fine." He's like, No. I'm going to rebuild this whole thing. The guy goes online, downloads the Peloton instruction manual, literally takes apart the whole Peloton, builds the whole thing, gets the screws in because he cared about her safety. I don't know. I like that story.
That's a great story. And that's a great example. And that's kind of that theme of what we were just talking about. He's showing care and concern for her. It's not just all about him and what he can get. He's actually showing care and concern for her. And that is a great example, because let's face it, if a guy is just wanting sex, or he's not really interested in having a more significant relationship with a woman, he's not going to put in that kind of effort. He's going to put in the minimum amount of effort he needs to just kind of keep her available.
Absolutely right.
Like that. It's like that book that came out a number of years ago called He's Not That Into You, right? Where he talks a lot about, the author, I think it's Greg Barrett. Anyway, he talks a lot about how there are a lot of guys that just kind of want to keep a woman on the string and just kind of want to have her as an option. And he talks a lot about how you're not going to make a guy an option, and you're not going to make a guy a priority when he's thinking of you as an option. So when a guy is willing to invest his time, his energy, his effort into something like that, the Peloton bike is a perfect example. That shows he cares, because men tend to, you can probably back me up on this, Mike, men tend to be pretty efficient in how they use energy. That's a nice way of saying it. Sometimes they don't want to put forth a lot of effort, and they don't unless they think that there's a reason for them to invest.
That's 100% right. That Peloton story was all about him putting an effort because he was emotionally attached. He valued her. If he was just trying to get laid, there's no way he was spending however many hours that took for him to fix that Peloton.
Exactly.
So is the guy giving you effort? Because that's his way of showing that he values you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it certainly is one of them for sure. It's a key one, I think, because like I said, most men tend to be energy efficient. And they're not going to put energy and effort into something unless they consider it a worthwhile investment. So if he's investing in that way in you, that's definitely a sign that he cares for you, which is very important or significant when it comes to this idea of an emotional connection.